Let us understand about e-banking. E-banking is a term for the internet banking. It is a safe, fast, easy and efficient electronic service that enables you access to bank account and carry out online banking services 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. To access a bank and online banking facility, a customer with internet access will need to register with the bank for the service, set up a password. First, you need to register, then, you need to set up a password and other credentials for customer verification. The credentials for online banking is normally not the same as for the telephone or mobile banking. Financial institutions now routinely allocate customer numbers whether or not customers have indicated an intention to access their online banking facility. These are not same as account numbers because technically the customer number can be linked to any account with the financial institution that the customer controls, though the financial institution may limit the range of accounts that may be accessed to say check, savings, loan, credit card and similar accounts. The customer visits the institution's secured website and enters the online banking facility using the customer number and credentials previously set up. Each financial institution can determine the types of transactions which a customer may transact through online banking, but also includes obtaining account balances, list of recent transactions, e-bill payments, financing loans, fund transfers between a customer's or another's accounts. Some financial institutions also offer special internet banking services, for example, personal financial management support, such as importing data into personal accounting software. You can have your personalized accounting software as well, and the financial institution will aid you in providing the banking facility and the services using that particular software. Some online banking platforms support account aggregation to allow their customer to monitor all of their accounts in one place, whether they are with their main bank or with the other institutions. So this is also a good facility provided by the bank. Most banks set limits on the amount that can be transacted and other restrictions as well to enable customers to download copies of bank statements which can be printed at the customer's premises. Enable customers to download transactions directly into the customer's accounting software. The facility may also enable the customer to order a checkbook statements, report loss of credit card, stop payment on a check, advise change of address, and other routine actions. Next, we'll know more about the features of e-banking. After having an overview of working of e-banking, let us know the characteristics of e-banking. So, a bank customer can perform non-transactional tasks through online banking, including loan applications and investment transactions such as repayments of enrollments. It enables transaction approval process easy, downloading bank statements, for example, in PDF format, viewing images of paid checks and ordering checkbooks, fund transfers between the customer's linked accounts, paying third parties, including bill payments and third party fund transfers, viewing account balances and recent transactions. So, what we have studied till now is e banking and its features. But the term e banking is derived from the word e finance, which is again derived from e commerce. So, e commerce means conducting business through electronic network, which ultimately generates the need of electronic finance and electronic banking because everything is conducted on e platform. So e-finance is a platform where you provide the financial services through electronic channels, and e-money. The second part of e-commerce is e-money, which states that it is a standard value or prepaid payment mechanism. Now, e-finance is further classified as e-banking and other financial services and products. So, the financial services can be availed either through banking or other financial institutions. So, in e-banking, it basically provides electronic delivery channels which consist of internet banking, telephone banking, and others. And in other financial institutions, you have insurance, online brokering, etc., such services and products. Now, there is a difference between e-money and e-banking, which is with e-money, balances are not kept in financial accounts with banks. you don't have any account with bank to maintain the balance, unlike your bookkeeping. So that is the basic difference between e-finance and e-money. So we'll know more about the digital payment methods in India, that is VMAP, mobile banking, internet banking, point of sale, bank prepaid cards, mobile wallets, UPI, that is Unified Payment Interface, USSD, unstructured supplementary service data, Aadhaar enabled payment system, and banking cards. These are the few digital payment methods in India. There are many others which are recognized by NPCI in India. Let us know about the pros and cons of online banking. Advantages of e-banking consist of low banking service cost, low operations cost, high liquidity and immediate liquidity, high interest rates, quick access, special aid in emergency. In case of emergencies, if you want to have immediate exchange of money, immediate availability of fund, you can easily access through it because it is available 24 into 7. You can easily monitor the services provided by the bank. Quality services are provided at your convenience 24 into 7. You can have online payment at any time, which is eco-friendly because you don't use papers, you don't cut trees for that. It provides faster service. There is no delay, unlike you have to wait for the postage stamps. It is quite economical because reduces operational cost as well as transactional cost and other charges. Discounts, coupons, waivers, and cashbacks are the most important, you can say, a part of digital banking system because it provides you many advantages. People are attracted towards online banking because of these discounts, coupons, waivers, and cashbacks. Digital record of transaction is there. There is no black money dealings, and so there is no corruption. Less minting of coins and no circulation of counterfeit, soiled, or mutilated notes, so that you don't have fake money circulation, as well as there is no deforestation in our country. So along with advantages, there comes disadvantages too. That is security issues. Very first, there can be cybercrime, cyber fraud, data theft, data mining, skimming, phishing. There are many things which can take away all our hard effort earned money within seconds. So there are security issues. Password can be accessed. Transaction issues due to technical error. Insecurity among customers whether the money is safe or not. Training and development cost to the bank because hardly anyone is aware of the technological functioning because traditional methods were used, so bank has to invest in training and development cost. Awareness among the customer is the must. Financial jargons, trust and responsibility between the parties, lack of personal contact. If any institution is established, I can easily go and claim that institution, or I can catch that person, and I can have a talk about my the services provided by the institution, about my deposits and withdrawal. But in case of e-banking, you don't have anything, and once the transaction is done, it is done. Once your money is gone, it is gone out of security issues or out of a click of a button by yourself. Any type of mismanagement or theft, if the money is lost, it is lost. There is data theft and fraud. Hacking is the most important thing. Digital data record maintenance risk is also there because once it's gone, it's gone. Whereas books can be stored, books can be kept, and you can have the records for future also. Electricity power based service, if there is load shedding, you can't avail the e-banking service. Remote areas internet accessibility must be there to avail the e-banking service. So this is an image showing you theft and piracy. Piracy and theft are the two important things. In theft, your data is stolen, and in piracy, your information is pirated. That is, your information is stolen in theft, but in piracy, your information is taken away by a person, just like phishing. How the phishing system works, enabling as a banker. We'll know more about the attacks. So here it is cross-site scripting and keylogger. Trojan horses can also be used to steal login information. Once you log in your information, and in case you don't backspace it, or you don't erase or delete it, and you just log out like that, or you just cut the page, cross that page and come out, So if that particular information is still logged in, then it can be accessed using cross-site scripting, keylogger, or Trojan horses. A method to attack signature-based online banking method is to manipulate the used software in a way that correct transactions are shown on the screen and fake transactions are signed in the background. You will think that I'm going with the right transactions, but fake transactions are signed at the back of the screen, and you are not aware of the background, and thus the information is stolen. Another kind of attack is also termed as man in the browser attack, which is a variation of the man in the middle attack, where a Trojan horse permits a remote attacker to secretly modify the destination account number and also the amount in the web browser. I am entering the amount XYZ, and in the background the amount is modified as PQR, and so my amount is also gone and the destination account number is also changed. As a reaction to advanced security processes allowing the user to cross-check the transaction data on a secure device, there are also some combined attacks using malware and social engineering to persuade the user himself to transfer the money to the fraudsters on the ground of false claims. You have won that lottery, this lottery, so you visit that link, you can avail this discount, that discount. So all this come under malware and social engineering attacks, like the claim of the bank that would require test transfer, or the claim of a company that had falsely transferred money to the user's account and he should send it back. Moving ahead to the Trojan horse scheme, it unfolds when malicious software embeds a customer's computer without the customer being aware of it. You are not aware and the malicious software enters into your PC. Trojan often comes in links or as attachments from unknown email senders. After installation, the software detects when a person accesses online banking site and records the username and password to transmit to the offender. People using public computers in places like internet cafes, cyber cafes are often susceptible to trojans like malware or spyware. Users should therefore never perform bank transfers when they have not initiated themselves. So this is a picture showing you a mobile performing all actions of traditional banking system digitally. You can purchase online, you can pay online, you can avail the facilities, each and every facility online. Moving towards the internet banking frauds, as Trojan horse was one, man in the middle, man in the back, these were two types of attacks. Looking forward, we also have many others. So internet banking fraud is a fraud or theft committed using online technology to illegally remove money from bank account or transfer money to an account in a different bank. It is a form of identity theft and is usually made possible through techniques such as phishing. So it is an identity theft. Now, internet banking is widely used to check account details, make purchases, pay bills, transfer funds, print statements, etc. Generally, the user identity is the customer identity number, and password is provided to secure transactions. We also have OTP enabled platforms so that these things don't happen. But due to some ignorance or silly mistakes, you can easily fall into the trap of cyber criminals. Phishing, very important term in the family of cyber attacks. Persons, personal details are obtained by fraudster posing as bankers who float on the site similar to that of person's bank. For example, try to create a spam using a form of spam to fraudulently gain access to people's online banking details and target them to the online customers using online auction sites or other online payment facilities. It works well when a customer is asked to follow a link in order to update personal bank account details. If the link is followed, you become a victim and the amount is transferred to the third party. Skimming is also an illegal practice used by the identity thieves to capture the information from a card holder surreptitiously. Fraudsters often use a device called a skimmer that can be installed at gas pumps or ATM machines to collect card data. They try to steal it. Either they'll type fast in a very quick manner, or either they will try to steal data using a card. Some data machines acts like point of sale technology here. Next is spyware. Spyware such as Trojan horse is generally considered to be software that is secretly installed on a computer and takes things from it out without the permission or knowledge of the user. Spyware may take personal information, business information, bandwidth, or processing capacity and secretly gives it to someone else, just like spying or the piracy I was talking about. Spam is an electronic junk mail we all have in our emails, which are unwanted messages sent to you using your mobile phone account or website or email. These messages vary, but essentially commercial and often annoying in their sheer volume. They come in bulk. They try to persuade you to buy a product or service, visit a website again and again, so that once in a while you may fall into the trap and visit the link. So they send you in bulks again and again repeatedly. Then there is a Nigerian scam. Nigerian or frauds 409 or 419 are basically the lottery scam in which some overseas persons are involved to cheat innocent persons or organizations by promising to give a good amount of money at nominal fee charges. Their intention is to steal money in the form of fee against the lottery prize. So public access can be injurious. Here are the few measures which can help you prevent such cybercrimes and frauds. So very first is public access can be injurious. Don't leave the PC unattended after keying in information while transacting on the website. Try to avoid banking online at cyber cafes or on a shared public PC. Avoid locations that offer you free Wi-Fi where the security protection is minimum. Follow bank instructions, upgradations in the apps, and the risk mitigation process. Try to use the uh, SMS alerts, which becomes an important tool, and work accordingly provided by the banks. They try to issue instructions to the customers. Banks enable you to manage your accounts through virtual keyboards by way of which characters typed by them are not identified by the hackers. Then protection comes in the form of viruses, spyware or malware through antivirus software, anti-spyware and adware so that you can detect trojans and other viruses in your PC. Also learn to keep your cards, documents and passwords safe and monitor your accounts to safeguard yourself from the bank fraud committed through identity theft. Secure your account. Try to conduct minimal online business at public platforms. Try to check the URL before conducting any type of transaction or business. Always check the bank's website URL so that fraudster cannot lure your ID and password at a fake website which resembles like your bank's website. Never click on the link in the email provided to you. Read it thoroughly, recheck it, and then go ahead. Keep your systems up to date. Upgrading is very important thing. Most security updates are aimed at reducing risks of your computer which may be data related or otherwise. Install a personal firewall to prevent hackers from gaining unauthorized access to your computer, especially to connect to the internet through a cable or DSL modem. Foolproof password is must, which must be an alphanumeric password that combines alphabets as well as number. Never use the same online banking password for all. Never select the option or on browser that stores or retains the username and password as it can be easily cracked by the cyber criminals. Also, never paste your password. Always try to type it. This little amount of finger exercise will go a long way in safety. Always check the last logged in. Most banks have a last logged in panel on their websites. It is must. So whether the last person was you or any fraudster, if you notice irregularities, then you must correct it with the bank immediately and change your password right away. Always try to log out from the banking portal. Close the browser to ensure that your secure session is terminated. Never exit simply by closing the browser. So here are the few questions for you. Dash is an illegal practice used by identity thieves to capture credit card information from a cardholder surreptitiously. And Dash involves using a form of spam to fraudulently gain access to people's online banking details. Hopefully the video was quite knowledgeable and you learned a lot, and try to answer these questions in the comment box. Go to the slides thoroughly, it can be easily answered, and stay tuned for more such videos.